by another incredible human. I'm going to let you, you're doing the
Adrianne
intro.
Shropshire is the executive director of Black Pact. We are so honored, Adrianne, to be partnered with you. We are looking forward to working with you beyond this convention for the next 77 days. And if it needs to be 77 years, we are in this fight with you. So we are so grateful for everything you're doing. You are killing it. You've been killing it. I just got a shout out. She from the West Coast. She from the West Coast. It's the 206.
206, baby, 206.
Day. Look at Andrew's
Is that
face.
Seattle?
Don't do me.
Seattle?
Don't do me. I will mute your mic, Andrew. Don't do me. You know there was just a roll call on the floor of unity. We're not doing that right there.
I get it.
But Adrianne, can you please tell our listeners, because I think it's so important, Congressman Meeks was just here talking about the role of the Congressional Black Caucus PAC, talking about how important it is to now have those 60 seats, the 30-plus members who will be chairs of subcommittees should the Democrats take over the House in the fall. And so I would love for you to talk about the important work that Black PAC is doing and how folks listening and watching at home can get involved.
Yeah, so I mean, one of the things that you said that is so important is we have 77 days.
Yes, ma'am.
And we got a lot of people to talk to.
Okay.
So when we think about, whether it is knocking on doors, which we're doing in the battleground states across the country, having conversations, which we've been doing for months. And, we had the little change at the top of the ticket, and suddenly it is
Not
like the
little
sky.
change.
That's right. The little bit change. That's right. The little bit change.
The skies kind of opened up, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that you see, like, the excitement is real, the energy is real across our elders, our younger people. But the job is not done. We still have a single job, and we still need to reach a lot of people. So there are a lot of folks who don't understand who the vice president is. They want to understand her record. You still have a lot of people who are saying, I might vote third party, right? I'm not sure if I'm going to stay. So you still have the folks who are saying, I might stay home. And so we have to reach all of those people. And we have this truncated timeline, and we talk about 77 days, but we know that the ballots go out in North Carolina on September 6th. And then they go out in Pennsylvania. And so people will have ballots in their hands.
Yeah.
And they will be voting. And we need to get the information to it. So our job, and all of our job, but certainly Black PAC's job, is to make sure we're delivering the information, whether it's on the doors, whether it's in businesses and communities, whether it's on the radio and delivering the message, whether it's digitally, whether it's mail, whatever, is to make sure that we are talking to people, making sure that they understand the stakes, because people do understand the stakes. They know that it's a democracy or dictatorship. People get all of that, right? They also feel right now, and this is the great part, is that there's history at stake right now as well, and people are ready to make history. And so I think that we need to keep people motivated. We need to ride this wave coming out of the convention, but we also need to do the work that needs to be done, the hard work, to make sure that people turn out. Motivation is not a vote.
It is now.
There it is.
So we need to make sure that people who are motivated find themselves to the ballot box, and then obviously we need to make sure that the votes are counted and that the election is certified.
I love that.
Adrianne, outside of an election cycle, because, some people, it's like with the Congressional Black Caucus, for example, some people think it's a legislative body that's there to solve or address issues related to Black people, and it's a bit more complex than that. So outside of an election year, what exactly is the role of Black PAC? What's the significance? And is there a call to action? Is there a way for our audience to support, uplift, get involved in a tangible way?
Well, so the reality is that there is never outside an election cycle. Right, so every year there is an election, and so we talk. And we get excited about the presidential, and we should.
Yeah.
But there's down ballot races this cycle as well that people need to pay attention to. Their congressional races, their state races. But we know that every year is an election, and whether it is your city council, or it is your mayor, or it is your school board, there is something that people should be paying. There was someone about to make a decision about your life, and so we ask people to stay engaged. We try and make sure that people stay engaged in all the elections across. After the big ones, but we also want to make sure that people are engaged in the legislative fights, because sometimes we elect our friends to office, and then we just leave them on their own.
That's right.
Right?
That's
and
real.
we don't stay there to support them and say, well, here, we're going to help you. We're going to push you when we need to push you, right? And we're going to show up for you when you need us to show up for you. So we want to make sure people stay engaged in the legislative advocacy. People can we are recruiting volunteers right now in a big way, obviously, for people to do both virtual volunteer work and also to do the volunteer work in their local community. So if folks want to get involved, they can go to our website, blackpac.com, and sign up to volunteer.
That's amazing.
Melvin, before you jump off the stage, because I know they get pulled every direction, you have a unique perspective to offer to the listeners, which is you are a mayor in the state where the next vice president of the United States is coming from as governor. What should we know about Tim Walz that we don't know?
First of all, you should know I am the mayor of the city that our next vice president lives in. Not just, let's be clear.
Well done.
That's right. So,
well done.
You know, listen, the governor and I have worked really closely together over the past 4 or 5 years or so. You know, it's no secret that Minnesota, as has the rest of the world, been through a whole lot. And let me tell you, he's just been a consistent person. What you see is what you get, whether he's on the stage at a rally or whether he's, in the neighborhood, talking to folks on the block. Just an incredible person who connects with people individually, who does the tough right thing when it's time to have a tough conversation. He's somebody I believe in wholeheartedly, and I'm excited to see him as our vice president.
I love that. Well, we can't wait to
you.
see what happens next for you as well, sir.
Thank you, Mr.
I appreciate
Mayor.
that.
You've
I
been
appreciate
joined
that.
by our
Finally,
good friend.
Terrence, you're going to use this mic. Terrence Woodbury,
What's up,
is
Terrence?
introducing, who runs Hit Strategies, a polling firm. And we reference your work constantly on Native Land Pod and the amazing work that you're doing. You're also doing polling work for this campaign for President-elect, we call her, Kamala Harris. So thank you for joining us. And thank you, we welcome you officially, thank you, Adrianne, and thank you, Mr. Mayor,
And
for joining us.
Adrian's not leaving us yet.
Adrianne's staying with us.
But
Mr. Mayor.
I'm trying to find somebody to take a picture for me. So I can
we got
so I can
this.
tell my kids I was here.
We got this.
All right, we got it.
He just was trying to get his picture.
She's going to get
got it
this.
for
She's
me.
going to do it.
Okay,
got it for me. I appreciate y'all.
But in the meantime, sorry, I'm learning to mute these. I didn't want you to hop off, Adrianne. I was looking most forward to this part of the conversation where Terrence is present and you are, in part because I feel like we got our collective start together.
Yes.
Like in real life.
In real life.
That's right.
Before Terrence was doing work on Andrew's campaign, I really got to know Terrence when he was working with Cornell Belcher at Brilliant Corners, and we all worked together with SEIU doing some of this same kind of work. Terrence, since then, you've done some incredible work, and even with Adrianne. I would love for you all to talk about the importance of that work, the importance of that synergy. And even if y'all ain't contracted right now, because you can't, you with the official now. He big time, Adrianne. He big time. Can you talk about the importance of laying that groundwork?
Absolutely. Look, me and Adrianne have been on this journey for a long time, Adrianne. You remember we were actually focus grouping the name Black Pack, right?
I remember
I
that.
had already
remember
decided that the name was Black Pack.
But I do remember that too.
She said it was going to be what it's going to be.
I think in fact we had I remember one respondent in a focus group said to us when we were talking about putting together a black agenda and what it takes to put together a black agenda, and I said, well, tell me how you like it. They said, well, I mean, I just want my agenda all black. I like it like my coffee. He said, can we just call it the coffee party?
I loved that.
So here we are, and since then we have kept our finger on the pulse of black voters. We've done over 70 focus groups this year. We've conducted over 24 polls, and one thing that I was picking up early, even in the research we were doing with Black Pack, was the role that perception of power plays in how black voters perceive themselves. Look, pollsters often use a proxy like motivation or enthusiasm to determine who's actually going to vote, right? Well, one thing we've learned in these focus groups is that not all black folks are voting enthusiastically, right? I had a young man tell me in a Philadelphia focus group that voting for him is like taking out the trash. You don't always want to do it, but if you don't do it, then shit starts to stink around here.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's really good.
That young man, he don't sound like he's going to vote enthusiastically, but he's going to take the trash out on election day.
Yeah.
I love that.
And so we've been measuring perceptions of power, and here's what that looks like. We ask this question on every poll that Hit Strategies does. Regardless of how often you vote, how much power does your vote have to make a difference in your community? The higher they rate those perceptions of power, the more likely they are to vote.
Sure.
And what we are seeing right now in the last 4 weeks is a level of power, of collective power, that is being expressed, is being demonstrated, and I do expect that to drive us to Election Day.
I love that.
I'm curious because, I on this show often say the polls do not matter. I think they matter to campaigns. I don't think it's a healthy exercise to constantly berate the public with polls. It matters most to the candidate. I also think it's how you interpret the information from the polls. What week did you ask this question? What was the specific question asked? What did the focus group look like? Was there a black person posing these questions to a room full of white people?
That's very important.
Right. There sometimes our communicating with our communities looks very different. For people who are suspicious about the polls, who don't believe the polls, what would you say to naysayers like me and I would imagine a lot of people out there?
Look, first, I think what Tiffany means when she says that polling doesn't matter. I don't want to mansplain Tiffany at all.
No, don't do that. Don't do that, brother.
I think what Tiffany means is that polls can't tell you who's going to win today. And that is true. Polls right now are not predictive of who the winner of this is. Just because someone's up 2 points today or down 2 points tomorrow,
Don't I
that
know
ain't
it.
predict. Hello, listen.
Yeah.
And so what we are doing at His Strategies is maintaining, keeping our finger on the pulse, following that trend line, understanding what people are hearing, what's resonating and what's not. We started His Strategies to correct the record on what is being misrepresented and underrepresented in our polling, and far too often that's black folks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Terrence, can I just
Please,
jump in? Right?
don't
So
go
I
ahead.
think we should talk about sample size in these polls, right? And so I think that polls are instructive, right? They help us understand what we need to do. They point out the problems that we have and how we can address them. But we know that some of the larger polls just have small sample sizes of black voters,
That's right.
And then draw conclusions about what broadly black voters think from a really tiny set of folks. And I think that that's part of the things that one of the things that people need to understand is that polls are interesting. No one should be following the polls like they're being asked to follow the polls right now, because they're actually not helpful.
That's right.
So-
I do want to tell you one thing that we're seeing in the polls right now, because regardless of the sample size, there are some trends that are undeniable, right? And what we have seen in the last 4 weeks is the ability of Kamala Harris to consolidate the Democratic coalition more quickly than I ever imagined possible. She's doing 12 points better with women voters, 15 points better with young voters, and 22 points better with black voters. 22 points in 4 weeks. We still have work to do. I'm not ready to call her president-elect yet, because we got work to do, y'all.
It's divine.
We got
It's
work
divine.
to do,
No,
y'all,
we do have
but
work.
the trend line is going in the right way, and a lot of that is being powered by black voters.
Speaking of work, one of our favorite political worker bees, public servants extraordinaire, the only elected official to ever submit a comment to Native Land Pod, is Lieutenant Governor Garland Gilchrist, our good friend from Michigan.
Yeah.
How you doing, brother?
What's
What up,
up,
though, y'all?
man?
Happy to be here with you. It's such an honor and a privilege. And I was on my phone talking to y'all, and now we here at the DNC talking to y'all. It's great.
Started from the phone, now we here.
No doubt.
Yes, we're so thankful because Angela, we didn't know that you were going to come on. And Angela said, I have a surprise guest coming on, and we saw you. We were thrilled to have you. This is so exciting. I want to ask, because I remember when Big Gretch, as we call her affectionately, who I believe we will see tomorrow.
Okay.
Sounds like it.
So Governor Gretchen Whitmer out of Michigan will be joining us tomorrow. But I remember covering your campaign from a distance, seeing you're the first black lieutenant governor.
That's right. That's right.
So all these historic candidates who have ascended to power at this time, and we've been consistently asking people, as another historic candidate, what does this moment mean to you to be serving in government when the country is poised to be led by a black woman?
It is incredibly inspiring. Look, Kamala Harris, she has made history in every single victory that she has. And I think what that's a demonstration of is she's never won alone. She has always thought about how to create more space and opportunity to kick these doors down so more of us can walk through them. And all of us who are in elected service, we should have that same kind of energy. And so for me, I don't want to be amazing. I don't want to be singular. I want to be the door opener. I want to be the person who inspires the next person to go even farther, who's even hungrier and more ambitious. Just like Tupac said, right? You ain't got to be scared about me. You got to worry about the one coming after me.
Right.
They're not going to ask no questions, right?
Yeah.
I think the same kind of thing needs to be the kind of just spirit that we bring to this service, that, we can make things happen, that when we organize and we work together, we can bring everybody into the conversation, everybody to the table, everybody to the room. And when we include more people in decision making, we make better choices.
I love that.
Love that.
Lieutenant Governor, when you are, we all heard early on in y'all's administration the whole plot to, I guess, kidnap the governor and all this kind of insane stuff that's happening in the state of Michigan. I'm curious to know, as a brother, as you go out to various parts of the state, I'm assuming showing up in places where you're not expected, but you remind them that you're the governor for the entire state.
That's right.
Not just for a portion of the state. How are you received? How do you find yourself being able to talk to folks who not are just ideologically different, but as people may reject your very being?
Yeah.
What does that feel like? What is that like? And how do you, if it's possible to bridge, how do you go about bridging?
So, yeah, unfortunately, I have experienced the same level of death threat to me, to my family. Look, we had the pregame for January 6th on April 30th of 2020 in the state of Michigan. In the weeks after that, there were men with long guns that lined the sidewalks that walked up to the Capitol where I had to go to preside over the state Senate. I'm walking through there like it's the starting lineup, you know what I'm saying, at a basketball game. We walk through and everybody's on the side. So unfortunately, I've had to deal with that, suspicious packages under my vehicles, these kinds of things that mailer sent to my home, my parents' home being swatted last week. Like these kinds of things happen. But to answer your question, Andrew, when I go to places like Escanaba, Michigan, which is in the western part of the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, I was there this past Thursday for the UP State Fair to talk to farmers about why they need to have access to a dream of health and wealth, just like everybody else in Michigan needs to have access to that dream. They say thank you because they don't expect a 6'8" dark-skinned brother from Detroit to be up there asking them questions about rabbits and ducks.
Yeah.
Right. And chickens. But I also go to the Upper Peninsula more than any state elected official has gone to the Upper Peninsula in 20 years. I'm up there 4 times a year for multiple days. That's because I think all of us need to understand that we are all in this together. I think that's the biggest difference, frankly, between us and our opponents, that their vision for the future is so small that it can't include all of us. It can't include black folks. It can't include women. It can't include young people. It can't include elders. It can't include the LGBTQ plus community. And so by showing up, you show people that you respect them enough to serve them. And I think you got to respect people to serve them.
I love that.
I just want to say people are shouting you out. All the people joining us, thank you all for watching at home. But they're saying they love Garland Gilchrist, but they're saying he might be in Michigan, but he has Bullitt County, Alabama roots. Can you confirm or deny those words?
That's right. No doubt about it. Look.
Go ahead and rip your set.
Yeah, my mother's people are from Union Springs, Alabama. I spent about a month every summer as a kid playing in the red dirt down there in Alabama. And so that's all good. That's all good.
They know. Our YouTube fans told us
Your
that.
people know.
I love it. Well, we are so grateful to all of you. Like, not just we started the show with Latasha Brown talking about building Black Power.
Yeah.
It is so poetic and so necessary and divine that we're talking about that at the close of our show. Adrianne Shropshire with Black Pack. Y'all visit blackpack.com. Lieutenant Governor Garland